Nice to see you again, Angie. Thank you for coming in this afternoon. Pearl is such a joy to have in class. She's such a sweetheart, and I've seen a lot of progress in her during this first half of the year. I wanted to talk to you about her progress, specifically in reading. Thank you for having me in today. Pearl just loves coming to school and enjoys being in your class. I'm looking forward to see how Pearl has progressed this year because I know how much of a struggle it was for her at the beginning of the year. She has made an improvement overall since the beginning of the year, but unfortunately is at a lower reading level than the other students in the class, and I do believe her absence has played a huge part in this. Over the course of the year, I have been assessing her on several different reading components, and although she is at grade level in some aspects, others she is falling far behind. I have assessed her on phonemic awareness, alphabetic knowledge, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. I was very surprised at how well she did on the phonemic awareness assessment considering her lower reading level. She has always been very well at decoding words by letter sounds and blending sounds together when heard orally. However, when reading words, she often decodes the sound of each letter and then says a completely different word that she has just sounded out, like she's guessing what the word says. She also has a very hard time recognizing rhyming words and providing examples of words that rhyme. The alphabetic awareness assessment was next, and I chose to assess her on the alphabetic knowledge because of her reading level, whereas the rest of the students were tested on reading nonsense words. I wasn't sure if she would be comfortable with reading the nonsense words because she often struggles with this when we go over them in class. However, she did an outstanding job with recognizing her upper and lowercase letters. The only mistakes she made was switching her B's and D's and G's with J's, which are common among students her age. I then assessed her on letters similar to the alphabetic knowledge assessment, but this one was to assess her fluency in reading. The letters were randomized, upper and lowercase, and she was to read them off to me as fast as she could. She did an excellent job on this assessment as well, and the same common mistakes of mixing up letters were made as in the previous one. Now, just because her naming fluency is very high, it doesn't mean that it corresponds with her reading sentences or full passages. I do believe she would have struggled if asked to read a full passage, but that isn't something we can work on from here on out. We then had an assessment on vocabulary. We do vocabulary each week as a class based off of books we're reading, and she has been struggling with defining words on her own, but it does okay when asked to match terms to correct definitions. When I asked Pearl to define a word during the assessment, such as start, she would describe what you do or do with a specific word rather than defining what it actually is. Building a strong vocabulary is important, and I try to model words we accumulate over the year, but introducing new words at home could be beneficial to her as well. The most recent assessment done was over comprehension. All of the previous strategies that Pearl was assessed on are crucial when comprehending text, and comprehension is our ultimate goal in reading in this class. The assessment included me reading her a short passage and then her answering questions about that passage, identifying the beginning, middle, and end, and making connections to her real life. I chose a passage about going to first grade because research shows that activating relevant background knowledge helps readers make connection between what they know and what they're reading. And she did just that. When orally read to, she is right where she needs to be with her comprehension, but I would like to get her to read books and passages to herself and have the same level of understanding. So what we need to focus on is all the factors leading up to full comprehension, and there are things both you and I can do to help her achieve it. So what are some things that I can do with her at home to better all of these concepts? For starters, I would like to see her here daily and on time. Her absences and tardies are getting out of control, and going over reading homework first thing in the morning is crucial for her and myself because it helps me get a better idea of where she's at and how she's improving. You could also work with her on decoding and blending words together. Does she read her homework to you at home? I have so much going on with the other kids at work, it's hard for me to find time to sit down with her. She sometimes reads to her grandmother when she gets home from school. I would really like to see an improvement in this area, and by sitting down with her and practicing blending the word sounds together would really help her improve in her reading skills in general. You can also work on vocabulary with her. Try to incorporate new words on a daily basis and ask her to explain what those words mean to her. I would like for her to have a better understanding as to what words mean rather than actions you can take with them. I will try my best to incorporate our vocabulary words into my daily lessons with the students as well. Those sound simple enough, and I will try my best to get here on time each day.
created using Powtoon.